where we started. That's
Yeah.
our Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we also have a studio also that helps our musician and differently able people come record at a very low price.
Yeah.
We also have another program that is water. We have a unique product called the water backpack.
Okay.
It's just like a dispenser, but you can carry it on the back,
Mm-hmm.
and you are able to dispense water.
Mm.
Apart from that, we have
Mhm.
now the mobility program.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I helped.
All right.
Yeah.
So you've talked about the mobility program. What does it basically entail?
So in the organization, what we do in the mobility program, we provide assistive devices to the physically able, to the different able people who have physical disabilities.
Yeah.
And our main goal or our main vision is to make everybody in Kenya mobile.
Yeah.
So we bring 10 to 12 containers in a year, and we're able to donate them to the people that need them the most.
Yeah. Amazing.
All right. So how are the devices distributed? Is it that the beneficiaries have to come to your office? How do they even know that these devices exist? So probably you can shed some more light on that.
Okay, we work with county governments. So far we've worked with 32 county governments, and when COVID came, you know that it slowed down the process.
Yeah.
We also work with churches, organizations, and mostly we work with disability groups on the ground.
Yeah.
They identify the people that are living with physical disability, and also they identify the type of device that they need.
Yeah.
Because not all devices are suited to a specific person. You have to know the right device to the right person.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So now that you're talking about, is there like a targeted group? It has to be physical disability, right?
Yes, for now we are limited to physical disability because that's what we're able to get information.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
What are some of the devices that you offer or you give out to people?
Okay, so we have partners in the US. We have one called Mobility Worldwide. They make tricycles, wooden tricycles, and in a year we receive 1,000 to 1,200 of them. Those are 5 containers. We also have Friends of Disabled Adults and Children. It's also a partner in the US who give us the walkers, the walking frames, the rollers, the walking sticks, the commodes, the prosthetics. Any other thing that does not come in the tricycle container comes in the product container, the Friends of Disabled container.
Yeah.
Yes. Currently, like last month, we received a container from Friends of Disabled. So we have the standard wheelchairs, the CP wheelchairs, the standing aids, the walkers, the rollers, the walking sticks. Yeah, they're in the offices, and we are able to dispatch them and donate them to people that need them the most.
Very good. So I think your second partner has preempted my next question, because I wanted to ask what is the age limit of the beneficiaries depending on the devices you have. So does it cut across all ages?
Yeah, we start like our distribution from the age of 5. Because from age 1 to 5, we encourage the parent to take the child to therapy. And then from 5 now we're able to assess the kid, and then we're able to know what right device can we give them. But we've helped so many people, like the mobility cafe tricycles. We have like 5,000 of them in the country.
Okay.
The other devices we've distributed like 15,000 of them in the country. Yeah.
All right. Amazing. I love the distribution part of it. My only question is there like a criteria you follow? Because many people will come to you that they need a wheelchair, they need any type of assistive device. What criteria do you use to select that this person is worthy to receive this assistive device?
Okay, from what I said before, we work with the disability groups on the ground.
Yeah.
So these people are able to identify the people that need them the most, and also we're able to be on the ground with them to assess the people, like what exactly do you need?
Yeah.
But they are the people to tell us, like, these are the people that you've identified, and these are the people that need them the most.
Yeah.
Because our main goal is to give those that are materially poor, those that can't afford to maybe get a wheelchair or get that mobility device.
Yeah.
Yes, so we work closely with the people that are locally, that are local, so that they're able to identify these people, and we also come to assist them through the process.
Good. So I'm just wondering, Mary, the world of disability is very vast, and what inspired you to be inclined in the mobility sector?
So I'm an alumni of Moi University. So back in 2012, I got a very fatal accident that rendered one of my friends and one of my classmates disabled. Despite working in the community for the earlier years and Kenya Red Cross, so the disability part of my friend made us like come over, and we started taking care of her.
Yeah.
So from that 2012, we've been in this space and doing too much, especially because she got a spine injury, which is rendered her on a wheelchair. So we had to like reframe ourselves and know how to take care of her in school, leading us to even forming a club of physical disabled in the campus.
Wow. Amazing. All right, so that diverted you into now getting the passion to be involved and advocate for persons with disability.
Exactly.
So do you think persons with now physical disability are being included in the aspect of inclusion in our community today?
I would say the government is really trying, because if you check at the Construction Act, we have that you should, when you have a building, you should have ramps for these people that are using these devices. And when you check, for example, in the county that you are in, Kiambu, some of the buildings we're really trying. So we are really trying, but we're not yet there.
Yeah.
Yes. Even in some of our transport systems, in some circles, they've set apart some lanes for the people that are living with disabilities. So as a community, as a society, we're really trying, but we need to do more and more.
Yeah.
Okay, so apart from the challenges that persons with disability experience in terms of inclusion, exclusion, maybe stigma, I have interacted with people who have, and especially those born without a disability. If it's an acquired disability later in life, you find that some people will really struggle to come to terms with their new status. I have even seen some reject the devices, the wheelchair or the walking, the devices. So do you have any social support that you give these people, like counseling, just to help them accept their new status, and so that the devices can help them? Because it's one thing giving out the device, and it's another when the person does not appreciate that it's going to be a tool that will enable them to function in life.
Okay, so in this case, Esther, you know it. I know you're working in the disability one. You can't work alone.
Yeah.
So we have different partners. For example, we have a partner called the Master Empowerment Center.
Okay.
It's basically a psychosocial support group, and it's a CBO. And we work closely with them to help us counsel these people, help them accept themselves first, and also accept the places that we live. Because it's also we've been receiving the challenge from time to time. The person really needs, you assess the person needed the device, but they can't use. So you have to go back, counsel the person, and tell them the device will help them use and use. Yes. So we have partners in that world, and that is their expertise, and we really involve them in that.
All right. All right. So that's very good to know that they're receiving psychosocial support. So probably just to ask, pull you back a bit, what are some of the barriers that people with physical disabilities face in terms of all the aspects, building constructions, movement, transport?
So there is accessibility part of it, like accessing some of the buildings, accessing some of the places.
Yeah.
It's difficult for them. For example, you can just find a very nice hotel, but the stairs are very steep.
Yeah.
There's no ramp, there's no lift, there's nothing that can make them access the building. For example, a conference can be organized and it's on that floor, and there's no way that somebody with a crutch can go
All
out.
the way up.
So number one, accessibility. Number two, they also face the barrier of communication. Because for us, we think that we are able, like we don't like understand them. Somebody can be telling you just help me from one point to another, maybe like you help them from push their wheelchairs from one point to another, but because you're maybe too busy or you don't want to be associated with the person, it becomes difficult. So they have a communication barrier. Number three, like acceptance, like Esther said, they face a lot of stigma. There are some parents and some people who are disabled, like they're not accepted in society. But slowly we have to understand that disability is a social problem. Whereby we have to continue from time to time. There are people who are going to be born disabled, we are candidates of disability. So we have to understand that this is a social problem and it is with us and we have to live with it.
Amazing. All right.
Okay, so I think the month of March is a very eventful month. We're also aware that's the month of wheelchair awareness. So probably for starters, you can tell us what does the month entail and where is it observed? So for somebody who may be interested in future events.
Okay, the month of March is a phenomenal month because the 1st of March is International Wheelchair Day. It's recognized by the UN. And we started off very well because we celebrate that the people that are using the wheelchairs. We educate the general public on how to handle these people that are using the wheelchairs. Because at one point you can find yourself on the wheelchair. And this year we celebrated the International Wheelchair Day here at Africa with other partners, for example, the Motivational, the Master Empowerment, the Burden Kids, which is based in Britain, just here in Africa. And it was an eventful month. So basically it's just to educate people on the uses of the wheelchairs and also on how you can handle the person using a wheelchair and also on how you can maintain your wheelchair. Yes.
Great. So we look forward to the next year as we celebrate the month of wheelchair. All right. All right. So owing to the fact that as we use wheelchairs, there's the aspect of somebody coming in to help. How do you think through that we are able to build a culture of inclusion in our society today?
So for example, the wheelchair day, that is the 1st March. The theme was my wheelchair, my inclusivity. So we were telling people that despite the person being on the wheelchair, they are able to do other things. Because just as you have capital to start a business, this is what they have for them. And I have a friend who usually make a joke that you come standing, but for him they come seated, so they don't need to be given a wheelchair.
A chair to sit.
So when it comes to inclusion, these people, we're really advocating for them to be included in each and every event. And for example, during that day, they were given like the DJ part of it. A person on the wheelchair was the person DJing. He's called DJ Skylar. There was a musician called Grace. She's a musician. She's on YouTube. She was the one that sang, just to show them that these are important people in the society, and not just when we have a function. We can also invite them even in our studios, even in our functions, and we include them. Let us not set them apart because they are differently able. Yes.
All right. Very good. So last week, as I've said, I think the month of March is really dedicated to the disabled community. And last week and this week, there's a campaign that has been going on inclusive cycling, and it's dubbed Cycles of Change. And they are cycles of change because they are adapted bikes that enable everybody with or without a disability to be able to cycle. And again, the beauty is that we even have different types of bikes. Some are called the tandem bikes, where you can have two people cycling together. You know, one without disability and one with disability, and that really fosters inclusion. So, looking at the wheelchairs, I'm wondering what's the extent to which maybe wheelchairs can be adapted, because one of the challenges that wheelchair users face, as my co-host Effie said, is of course the issue of accessibility. And again, inclusive transport. So I have witnessed persons on wheelchair being left by our matatus because it's too much work to get these people in the matatu and maybe get this wheelchair itself in the matatu. Some of the wheelchairs are quite bulky. So maybe moving forward, because with technological advancement, adaptations are becoming possible. So probably, is it something that your organization has thought through? I have a friend who is actually trying to manufacture smart wheelchairs that will be foldable and quite slim to enable even public wheelchair users to be to access the transport. So what's your take on this?
Okay, actually it feels very wrong for a public service vehicle just to give somebody who is disabled place.
Very
Maybe
sad.
their device cannot fit in the vehicle. But I would say that I would think that we as partners can partner and just come together and assist each other to come up with it. I know there's Dr. Bugwa who is really trying to come up with as much technology. The disabled and they can try to place their wheelchairs in the public service vehicles. I think we can partner, and it's something that our organization and myself we need to partner in and see what we can do for the people. Because at the end of the day, if I was disabled, and which I know I can anytime, I would love to be treated in a very human way.
Yeah.
I am able to access each and every part. I'm able to use the public means of transport. So partnering with Dr. Bugwa, for example, in the smart technology is really helpful. And also I'm also inviting all partners to just check on what Dr. Bugwa is doing, because it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing. So in a world where people with physical disability already face them having to struggle with movement and mobility, the only thing as humans we can do is be kind and accommodate them in the various aspects of life. So probably just to draw you down the memory lane, what are some of the achievements that you have made so far as an organization?
Okay, so we have made 5,000 people mobile with the tricycle, and we not only advocate for mobility, we also advocate for empowerment. So we have partners on the ground that are able to assist these people start small businesses.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of so many of the beneficiaries. For example, we have one beneficiary who is vying for a seat here in hospital wide. It's called Mr. Hospital. So he's one of my beneficiaries. He actually uses a tricycle. We also have others that are doing different works, for example, selling ice cream, small businesses. Apart from that, in other assistive devices like the walkers, the walking canes, we've made like 15,000 plus people mobile.
Yeah.
So in each and every county, the 32 counties, you're able to get somebody using the device, and you feel proud.
Yeah.
And you're happy that somebody somewhere is being assisted with the devices that you're doing along.
Wow, that's amazing, very impactful. Yeah, I think I want to take you back to a point you raised on communication barrier between the wheelchair users or mobility devices users and we, the typical population. And I think one of the things I observe is that the typical people or the able-bodied people may mean well and would want to assist, but probably they don't know to what extent, how should they approach the person, and of course without compromising their dignity. So do you also have sensitization initiatives where you sensitize members of the public that probably if you find a wheelchair user stranded, this is the way to approach them in a dignified manner so that we can improve that communication and support for, and again, even persons with the wheelchair users, sometimes the typical people think that they have attitude, they are difficult. So how do we bridge that gap so that it's a win-win for all of us?
For example, on the International Wheelchair Day, train the general public on how to handle this person, because it's a group of people that come together, the wheelchair users and also the typical population. So you're able to tell them, they're able to tell us actually, it's from them. They're able to tell us, if you find somebody stranded, just request them. Because sometimes we just assume they need help. They don't need help all the time. So just ask them. They told us, don't assume, just ask. So somebody may just be waiting for somebody, or they are not able to do something. The bottom line is ask them. And we also requested them to be kind to us. Because at times we think that they need help.
Yes.
The bottom line here, Esther, is just ask, do you need my help? If they say yes, to what extent, or how can I help you? And then maybe even the person is able to speak up and tell, I need to just move from point 1 to 8. So the only thing is just ask.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Amazing. So I got to interact with some of your probably beneficiaries last week in the inclusive cycling event. And what I noted is that you might as well ask, but also do not move to an extent where you're now like sympathetic, which also doesn't do well with them. So how do we know to what limit? Just like you said earlier, you will ask, yes, but then again it comes to a point where you're asking too much, so it's really uncomfortable.
So another thing is, do not sympathize with them, empathize with them. So the person tells you, I want to come out from point A to B, don't take them to C. They can just be for C. Another thing, don't go asking too many questions if the person is not engaging. Because at the end of the day, they feel left out. So you're making them even more uncomfortable. So ask, and then do not sympathize with them, empathize with them.
Very good. I believe that mobility builds empowerment, because the moment we enable that person to be mobile, we are enabling them to, even if it's the adults, to be able to go out and earn a decent living, and of course also be part of the social inclusion. So I think I want to address the children. So you said you also, children are part of your beneficiaries, and especially either in a boarding setup or a day school setup. So again, do you have, just like you're engaging members of public, are there also initiatives to sensitize school children? Okay, children are very well receptive, but again, I'm imagining they also need to be sensitized. How do you handle your classmate who is using a mobility device? How do you support them? Because again, I'm imagining, just like even in an accident scene, we are told we have to be very careful how we handle accident victims, because sometimes we may mishandle them and make matters worse. So how do you also support children, and especially in the context of school?
So in special schools, it's a bit easy, because most of them are special kids, and they're able to handle the rest of the students. But when it comes to integrated schools, where we have just a special class, it's a bit difficult, and we usually have a teacher with special needs. But from time to time, if we donate a device to the school or to the student in the school, usually like have a parade of something, and then we're able to tell them, if you find the student stranded or doing this and this, you're able to maybe how to handle it, to handle him or her. So when you give a device in a school where there's a child who's integrated into the system, they're able to train like the whole school, the teachers and the students in just a sitting or in a parade setup.
All right. So maybe just to ask the after effect. Let's say you've given somebody a wheelchair, and then after a while, of course, it will get worn out, right? Are they allowed to come back for another one?
Okay, in my organization, what we do, we have the registration of these people that we give the devices, and we have a database. Right now, we have a database of like 20,000 people. So anytime that somebody calls in, and we give them our numbers, they're able to call back, and after some time, we're able to replace their device.
Yeah.
Because maybe depending on what you're doing with the device, it wears and tears each and every time.
Yeah.
For example, this month we've dedicated it to just follow-ups. And during the follow-ups, you're able to get somebody whose device got worn out like 2 months ago, and you're able to replace them.
Yeah.
So with us, we just don't give out the wheelchairs and just that is it.
Yeah.
We do our follow-ups, like we have 3 months follow-up, 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, depending on the device. And they are really free to call us. And anytime, like, I really get like all sorts of requests, like this happened. And the best thing about partners in the US, they also send down some of the parts of the devices. Yes. So whenever we get a request from the beneficiaries that they need this place replaced, for example, the cushion, the chairs, and everything, we're able to do it comfortably. Yes. And if we're not able to do it at that time, we're able to maybe refer them to somebody else that can do it.
Incredible.
Okay, very good. I guess that guarantees sustainability, which is very, very important. Okay, so I think the other thing that comes to my mind when we are talking about mobility is maybe the issue of persons, the wheelchair users especially, because mobility is facilitated in many ways. There are also the other devices. But again, back to the wheelchair users, there's the toilet issue, maybe for lack of a better word. And probably if one is traveling for an able-bodied person, it's easy to, alight and just have yourself get relieved. So that is one of the questions that people keep asking: how do these people support themselves? So I know you've mentioned about commodes. I'm sure there's somebody who is hearing that term for the first time. So probably you can also tell us, how do you support them in that area?
Okay, so commode is just a toilet seat for the general public to understand it. So a commode is they just sit. We have different types of commodes. We have the standing commodes and we have the uplifted commodes. So for example, in this container that came in like 2 weeks ago, we have both commodes, the toilet seats. And the toilet seat is just let me just explain it in a layman's language.
Yes.
So it's a wheelchair, and then it has a hole in it, and then it's able to accommodate our waists. So in some instances, and the best thing about most of the commodes, they are affordable. So when most of the disabled people, when they are traveling, if they're in a position to, they're able to carry it, even in public means of transport.
Yeah.
But when you're not able to, we usually request the general public to assist them. For example, when we alight a bus, just assist these people maybe to be on the forefront, to the toilets and everything. And in some places, even in some hotels or stopovers, they have like a washroom designated for people with disability.
Yeah.
So we're really trying to come up with maybe spaces whereby it's comfortable for even people with disability to just alight and relieve themselves.
Yeah.
But it's just coming up very slowly. But for anybody that needs a commode right now, you can reach out to us, and we're able to give them out.
Okay.
Yes, we're able to donate to them.
That includes even for the children? Are they both children and adults?
The children are all donated for now.
Okay.
It's been 2 weeks right now,
Yeah.
but we still have for the adults one.
Okay.
All right. So probably, how can they reach you in your specific mobile number?
Okay. So our mobile number is 0714-919-981, or you can visit us next to the Kahasukari Baptist Church on Jeffrey Ruti Road, House 370.
Great. We might want to repeat the number again, just for the sake of someone who missed it again.
Okay, 0714-919-981. And we're also based in Kahasukari on Jeffrey Ruti Road, next to the Kahasukari Baptist Road, House 370.
All right. Thank you so much. So we are going to go on a short commercial break. Do not touch that dial. We will come back to learn more about mobility devices. Thank you very much. Remember, you can always reach us on our various social media platforms at DGTV Kenya, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on our YouTube platform. I'll see you in the next segment.
CK,
Yeah.
karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Kwa mara nyingine tena nimepatana ndani ya Spoti Sebuleni.
Spoti Sebuleni, weekend, super weekend.
Super weekend.
Super weekend, yeah.
Lakini kumbuka last weekend tulisema ni super weekend, lakini kwa mafans wa Manchester United, Chelsea
ilikuwa kilio.
It's cleared off the line, it's in from Sayenshu. He scored the winner at Old Trafford last season. Has he done it again here at King?
Okay, hii group yetu ya Kenya, Mali na Uganda na Rwanda.
Na Rwanda na.
Unaona ndio maana tukipigwa tunaumia sana. Tunataka at least tufike mahali ndio tukue kama wengine, tukue na ile furaha.
Especially akiwa surrounded na wale wachezaji wenye wanaweza msaidia. Nadhani Manchester hakuweza kuingiliana vizuri
Son will call it instead! It's Heung-min Son again!
You should ask yourself, what is the purpose of this relationship that I am in?
Man was made naturally and spiritually productive by God for a purpose.
I have my blessing. I have my healing. I have my greatness. I have my power. And it's all inside of me in Christ.
Okay, thank you very much for staying in. So remember, you can always also reach us on our SMS number, and the number is 0791 300 105. I repeat, 0791 300 105. Again, also you can get us on our various social media platforms at DGTV Kenya on Instagram, at DGTV Kenya on Facebook, and at DGTV Kenya on our YouTube platform. We move back to talking matters mobility devices. All right. So before we left, you were mentioning something about probably before you issue a wheelchair, you have to do assessment. So does that mean physical visitation, or you call and they explain to you, or how do you go about it?
When it's so near, I'm able to do it. As I said, I have an experience physical disability for the past 12 years.
Yeah.
So when it's near, I'm able to do it.
Yeah.
But when it's far, we usually request for somebody that knows about it. That's why I insist on working with the disability group.
Yeah.
Because they have expertise in doing so. And sometimes we do like mass assessment. For example, on World Social Workers Day, that was March 15. We're able to call people from different parts of the country, whereby they came to a sessional review and they're able to do assessment with some doctors from Care International. So it depends with the location of somebody or where they are.
Yeah.
And it all depends on also our location, where we are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
All right. So the other device that you talked about is the prosthesis, and I believe this is for the amputated. So do you just provide the device, or you also organize for the device to be installed,
Customized.
to be fixed? So do you also have maybe partners, hospitals? Because it's one thing to do the device, and it's another to have it fixed. So how is that process like?
In all our mobility devices, we have to assess. So, for example, at the prosthetics, we have to be assessed and also get the right device so that it doesn't hurt you, doesn't make you more uncomfortable. So, there's a hospital called Japan that offers the prosthetics. So, if a beneficiary come to us or reach out to us that we need a prosthetic, we're able to refer them to the hospital and we're able to be assisted.
Is it in the country?
Yes, it's in the country, industrial area.
Okay. All right.
All right. So in that case, I guess they get customized specifically for. All right. Amazing. So you have mentioned working with people around Nairobi. Are you planning to move to the outskirts of Nairobi and probably other counties?
Actually, we've worked with 32 counties, and our organization is based in 3 counties. Actually, 4: Kiambu, Nairobi, Kilifi, and Marsabit. But we've also worked with other counties, especially through the department that deals with disabled. So we're able to provide the assistive devices and the mobility devices to them. And we're able to launch them and provide to the people that need them the most. Yes. So we work with other counties, and our target is to reach out to each and every county, the 47 of them.
Yeah.
The 15 we are we're still trying to catch up with them and provide to them. We also worked with women reps. You know, they have the fund that is inclusive of the people with disability.
Yeah.
So they're able to get the assistive devices and actually help the people that need them. We've also worked with the First Lady,
Yeah.
Her Excellency Margaret Kenyatta, and she was able to get a container full of the tricycles and assist people that need them. Yes. So we worked with other counties, and it's our goal to reach out to all counties.
All of them.
Okay. Very good. That's very, very impressive. Yeah, I still want to go back to my earlier question and maybe just to ask you to elaborate more about this hospital that you have mentioned. So is it free of charge on the beneficiary? Does the organization meet the cost of that? Or you just provide the device for free, then the beneficiary has to cater for the cost at the hospital? How does that work?
Okay, when it comes to the hospital, they have like to pay a certain fee for them to be assessed. And also the device is free. So what they pay for is the assessment part of it.
Okay.
Yes. And also their transport from where they are to the hospital.
All right. So I guess some of the benefits of using the wheelchair, it has some physical benefits, is it? Because I'm imagining you're up on the wheel.
The physical.
You have to keep it's a form of exercise, right?
Yeah.
All right. Apart from now the physical benefits, are there some other benefits that you think come with probably using the tricycle?
Okay, I think some of the beneficiaries feel privileged to be given the first front seats. For example, as somebody using a wheelchair, they can't sit at the back when in a function or in a conference. They're given the front seats. So I think it's just a social advantage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So I think this is a bit off the topic, but still very, very relevant, because I'm very passionate about adaptive fashion, and especially for people with mobility challenges. The other day I was engaging a friend of mine who is a wheelchair user, and I was asking him, when it comes to fashion or even clothes, are there clothes that are uncomfortable or comfortable for wheelchair users? I also have a friend who is an amputee, and I know there was an event that people were being kitted, and nobody thought about this gentleman, and he got what everybody was getting, which actually was a bit slim. The bottom was slim, and it was a challenge because with the prosthetics, it proved a challenge. So I'm just maybe thinking whether in future, even as you enable mobility, because like my good friend who's on the wheelchair told me some pants are very, very uncomfortable, and nobody thinks about that. We just think now that we're enabling movement, that's it. So are you aware of maybe organizations that are also into adaptive fashion, so that as we facilitate their mobility, be also sensitive of the other needs, and fashion defines us, and it's not just for, you know, a luxury, but the comfort and the functionality.
Currently, no.
And we need to partner on that. It's an area I'm very passionate about.
Currently, no, but partnership is always welcome. And actually, it's something like I would want to think through and just get into it.
Yeah.
For sure, it's not something that we've been looking into.
Great.
Very good. So we have our work cut out. That should be the next inclusion space that we are looking into. Yeah.
All right, so probably just to push you to the deep sea, do you feel like the government has been supportive enough for persons with physical disabilities?
Yeah, I would say they are making strides.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like just cast them so much.
Yeah.
They are really making some strides. Because in some counties, it depends with who is in the seats and who is in the department.
Yeah.
There are people who are really passionate, and they really do the right thing when it comes to getting the devices for these people.
Yeah.
The government is also still trying, as I said earlier, on the accessibility part of it. They are really trying to enact that Act 2 or 3 on the disabled part.
Yeah.
On the accessibility of the buildings and the different places. So they are really trying. They also, in some constituencies whereby the CDF is mandated to do infrastructure. You get in some constituencies, they're also building maybe the washrooms that are able to serve the different disabled people. So I wouldn't say that they are not trying, they are trying, but they should do
could
more
do
and
better.
more and more. Yes, yes. And congratulations to the departments in the counties that does a good job. For example, Makueni and Nandi have been there. They really do great job.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Great. What would you think they would do better?
For example, in schools, they would do more washrooms. Also in schools, make them accessible to each and everyone. Not only the students, but also their teachers who are disabled. Also in our transport system, we can have the device, and also the government should actually partner with the smart technology. For example, our friend there, they can also like donate some money towards the project, or actually even fund the whole project, so that these people are able to get the smart technology wheelchairs, and they're able to be comfortable even in public service needs.
Yeah.
And also in other areas, for example, when it comes to conferencing, be able to invite them, and also be able to talk about what they face on a day activity. So, because there's nothing about, let's invite them so that they're able to discuss and actually be able to understand what they need.
Yeah.
Because you might think that they need one thing, but they need another. Yes.
Great.
Very good. My friend is very passionate about the universal design. So I believe when we have all people in mind and we design things for everybody, it becomes beneficial to all of us. I always look at a ramp which may be designed for persons with disability, but we all keep avoiding the flight of stairs and preferring to use the ramp. All right, very good. I'm thinking for a person with a visual impairment, some of them, their mobility is enabled through the white cane. So does white cane fall under mobility device?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
And we had a partnership with Vitech University, and also with a friend of mine based in Nakuru, she's called Rana Foundation, that provides the white canes that are smart. So they're able to tell you there's a barrier, there's a obstacle in front of the person.
Yeah.
And And she's done a good job. So whenever I have maybe a beneficiary that needs a smartphone, I'm able to refer them to run.
Yeah. Great.
Incredible.
You sound so passionate about mobility devices. Probably you should have highlights. What has been your highlight in all this?
There's one time I donated a tricycle to a young guy. He was based in Kenyatta, but I'll tell you where he was based. And the next time, I just gave him the mobility device, and then later, I just came to know that he had a big shop. He had just, like, after 3 months,
Yeah.
he had opened a very big small enterprise where he was selling the sweets, smokies, and everything. So every time that I used to have visitors, I'll bring the visitors to him to see what he's doing.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that he needed was just to come out from the house.
Yeah.
Actually, he had gotten disability because of jiggers. He had a jigger infestation. So they had really eaten up to his feet, and actually amputation happened. But he's so rest in peace. He passed because of COVID, but he still remains like the most loved beneficiary in my heart. I used to love him so much. And any time that I would talk even anywhere, I would usually tell people to just go buy from him, support him.
Yeah.
And each and every month, our organization will place in something to just support the person.
Very good. And so what's the low side, or has been your lowest moment of your career?
Okay, during COVID, I lost so many beneficiaries, and when we're following up with them, maybe like a month after COVID hits, or maybe after 6 months, no, the beneficiary is no longer there. So it feels so bad because you have like a connection with them. Because some of them, like, they really call you like after 3 months, you've not come to visit me, you've not asked me about it. So, because there's usually a schedule each and every program. So when you call back, you just feel that you just hear that they want like during COVID, I lost like 10 to 15 beneficiaries. Like I personally know. So it was very hard. Yes.
Very good. And maybe we need to find out, and probably maybe it's because of maybe pre-existing conditions, because I think you're the second guest who is telling us how they lost quite a number of, in this case it was children with Down syndrome.
Yeah.
So probably we need to see how are we taking care of our disabled people, and especially in the light of pandemics, are we cushioning them enough? Because we can't afford to keep losing persons with disabilities just because, okay, even the general population was dying, but is there anything that we could do better just to cushion them, because they're already vulnerable? So how do we mitigate the vulnerabilities? So I know, because when you work in this field, you become very, very emotionally connected with the people that you serve. All right. So you've talked about this gentleman, and may his soul rest in eternal peace. And actually now that leads me to a question I've been meaning to ask. So beyond enabling mobility, these people also have other needs, and maybe social needs, economic needs. And you've mentioned about your other programs. So are they also beneficiaries of the other program, apart from the mobility program? You talked about the water program. I think you even have a health program, but maybe, and especially now post-pandemic, how are you supporting your beneficiaries just to tide them over these difficult moments?
Okay. I would talk during the pandemic and also the post-pandemic. For example, during the pandemic, our government really insisted on the WHO insisted on us washing our hands. So we were able to provide the water bags for them to wash their hands. Those are just water stations that we're able to distribute mainly to the youth and everybody that needed them, and especially the people with disabilities, just to wash their hands. So most of our beneficiaries actually got a water bag, and they were able to wash their hands and just to keep us the COVID. In our other programs, for example, the computer and sewing classes, we have 29 schools in the country that we depend active partnerships. That is the sewing classes and 28 computer classes. So most of our partners, they belong to a group that is of disabled people or the youth.
Yeah.
So they are our first priorities when it comes to partnerships. And we have so many people that have gone through the sewing classes and also the computer classes that are really doing well, even if they are on the mobility devices.
Yeah.
So we really tried to incorporate them in our programs. And also on the health program, as I said, we have a clinic at in the northern dialects. Mostly we serve the disabled people, but mostly our beneficiaries and also the people that live in the slum locality. So in most of our programs, our first priority actually is the people living with disabilities.
Yeah.
All right. And speaking of washing hands, again, last Saturday, I interacted with my friend, the wheelchair user, and we went for lunch. It was a high-end restaurant, and as I went to scout where the sink is, there was a sink actually at the entrance to wash hands, of course, for COVID mitigation. But now the challenge is this sink is not accessible
Too high.
to my friend. It was too high. The tap was even higher. So I think those are again some of the barriers, that the building has a ramp and we think we've done everything.
Yeah.
There's a toilet designated for persons with disability, but the other nuances of now the height of the sink or even the height of the table and maybe even how we serve them, nobody puts that into consideration. So I think, Mary, your work is cut out, that you're not only advocating for ramps, it goes beyond that.
Actually, during COVID, one of the campaign that we had is place the washing station whereby somebody with maybe a wheelchair is able to wash their hands. And this, during our distributions or donations of the water bags, we're able just to place them whereby to their level that they're able to wash their hands comfortably.
Yeah.
Because there's no sense of just giving somebody a wash station that they can't use.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's something the hotels do.
Or probably as you make the smart wheelchairs, you consider one that is adjustable, just for the sake of.
That can go up to the level
Yeah.
of
Yeah, to the
that
level
makes
of
sense.
the seat.
It does.
Yeah. All right then. So I need to push you back a bit to the beneficiary that you lost. My concern is probably, do you offer any? Because I'm imagining he was doing a business, right, that was supporting his family, right? Do you give any financial support to the beneficiaries that you lost, to their families, or any form of support after?
No, we don't do that, but as friends of the organization, we do that. I belong to a group called Kiambu County Disability Network, whereby the beneficiary was referred to us from the group.
Yeah.
So, as Kiambu County Disability Network, we were able to visit the family and also for our help.
Yeah.
Because actually he was the one supporting the parent and also taking the kids, their siblings, through schools. And the best part of it, I really thank God, he passed in a way that he had been able to support the other sibling, go to school and start standards now.
Wow.
But as the network, as the Kiambu County Disability Network, we were able to get back and also visit the family and also support them in families.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. I've always admired the electric wheelchairs and just the ease of movement and one not having to depend on another person to push them. So, of course, they look like they are not affordable. But maybe looking into the future, do we see a world where every wheelchair user will have access to an electric wheelchair and reduce the dependency of having to be pushed or supported?
Okay, in our past containers we brought in the power wheelchair. The only issue is the roads.
Yeah.
And most of the roads they are not accessible.
Yeah.
And number two, the maintenance cost is very high. So you donate to somebody, but they would keep coming back because of the maintenance cost. Maybe the battery, the button, and everything else. But we look forward to a place whereby all our roads are accessible, especially in rural areas, whereby we're able to give comfortable seat or a comfortable mobility device to the person that needs the right device, the right person, and also using them on the right services.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, and very good. Speaking of roads, because that question keeps crossing my mind, and inaccessibility on our roads. We all know the culture on our roads from very crazy drivers. Kenyans, we are very impatient. So how safe are wheelchair users on the road now that we have no designated, paths for them?
Maybe in our highways they are safe, but in other places they are not. So I think it's a national thing that we as the people in the disability space should really continue to advocate.
Yeah.
For example, during the International Wheelchair Day, we had to have the men in blue so that they're able to help us control the daily public roads. There's nowhere these people can really be set aside for them to just use their wheelchairs.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that we should continue advocating for, and actually even insisting during our public participations when our roads are being built or any infrastructure is being made, that we need somewhere where these people that are using these mobility devices are able to just walk, just use very comfortable.
Yeah.
Because another thing that leave us behind is we're not able to be involved in public participation simply because maybe it is not communicated well. So we're not able to present our needs. But if somebody who is advocating for people with mobility devices, or actually even the user of the mobility device is in a public participation, they're able to question where will we be using the mobility device. But in most places in public participation, we really find us advocating for the mobility devices, maybe the spaces, or even a person who uses the mobility device. So it's a challenge.
Yeah.
But I would encourage the mobility devices users and also the people that advocate for these people to be involved in public participation.
Yeah.
Because it's a requirement whenever any project or whenever an infrastructure, for example, a road is being built, there must be community participation.
Yeah.
But, you never know about it, or when you know about it, it's very late.
It's too late.
Or when you go there, you just man. So just continue advocating for these things, and we're hoping and praying that it goes well.
Yeah.
We have them.
And build a better world. All right, then. So probably as you talk about the space, I'm imagining, is there like a standardized measure to fit the wheelchair? Because you realize they tend to use a cycling ramp. So is it all the wheelchairs that are fitting in that particular space, or they also need to adjust that space?
They need to adjust the space because not all wheelchairs are the same sizes.
Yeah.
For example, for a powered wheelchair, depending on the person seated on the wheelchair and also the measurement of the seat, they can be wide, they can be just small, but there's a standard measure of the wheelchair. So they need to check on the standard measurements and also build the ramps according to the standard way of the wheelchair.
Okay.
And also the ramps they are not just ramps. Not just constructing a ramp who is being told it's just a ramp.
Yeah.
Some are too steep.
Some are not accessible.
Yeah.
Actually, some even create injuries for the people. So there's a standard way of doing it. They should just follow that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I realize there's also like a barrier. There's a big pole, something like a pole cemented. So you might decide to use that particular ramp, but at the end, it's blocked. Yeah.
And also another thing is on the parking lot. The county governments are really trying, but in some counties we do not have these facilities for the people who are disabled. For example, they have a vehicle, but they can't park there because somebody else has parked there. So always be on the lookout to check on the sign. The reason why maybe the general public parks there is because there's no
sign.
Very nice sign. And some of us are just ignorant. It's just an empty, there's just an empty path.
Why not use it?
Yes. Let's just designate that space for the people with the vehicles that are using the devices.
Okay. Very good. Talking of the parking spaces, yes, a lot of sensitization needs to be done. But again, I'm also wondering, does one have to have a sticker on their car?
Yes, they need to have a sticker that is provided by the National
Council.
Council.
Okay. Now that because that was going to be my next question. So do you buy these stickers in the bookshop? Do you go to a cyber to have them printed? So do you have standard stickers that are acceptable?
Yeah, there are national stickers that are acceptable from the National Council. Remember, we all have our duties under the National Council of People with Disabilities.
Yeah.
So everything that we do, we have to follow the guidelines. It's just like the NTSA
Yes.
that guides the people using the vehicles and everything. So we are guided by the National Council. So
Yeah.
with a standard sticker of the people using the vehicles to have them in the cars, in front, behind,
Yeah.
and also
Okay.
some more even on
the side.
the side.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, very good. So I think we keep speaking advocacy, and there's this phrase that everybody is a candidate of disability, and we've spoken it over and over again until it looks like a cliche. But I think maybe just to shed more light on that it's actually a reality.
Yeah.
I would want our viewers to remember back then when our president, His Excellency Mwai Kibaki, was involved in an accident. Whoever thought that a sitting president would be on a wheelchair? So let's not think that disability is for others and not for others. And I'm actually told after that incident, the disability, the temporary disability by the president, a lot of things changed. Even maybe laws or bills that had not been passed for quite some time were actually fast-tracked and passed. So I think it helps to know that it could be you tomorrow. So if you're in a position of power, just make the world a better place for everyone. Yeah, very good. So I'm also thinking about, now that we are speaking mobility, we have persons with physical disabilities who may want to drive a vehicle. So is there relationship between your work and maybe also enable, of course, apart from the driving lessons that they have to attend just like everyone else, is there anything extra that would also aid now in their mobility while they are driving, or for you mobility is restricted, the devices that you offer?
For example, in the cars that we import as people living with physical disability, there's a way that the seat is adjustable, maybe raisable or anything. I have a friend of mine who's a sitting MC. So he imported a car that has those features. Maybe when you're importing, you can tell them that actually they know through your paperless codes. There's some charges that are waived for you because you're disabled. So they're able to know the type of car and you're able to specify the type of car that you need depending on your disability.
Yeah. All right. So very insightful session we've had there. So unfortunately, we have to end our show for the day. I am sure as our viewers have picked a lot, and now you know where to assess, where to get the mobility devices at a free cost. Is it okay to say free cost? But now through assessment, we have to look through to ensure that you really deserve the wheelchair. So we end the show today by saying we need to integrate disabled people into our society in order for them to take an active part in society and lead a normal life. Thank you for joining us today. Again, remember you can always ask questions even after the show, and that should be done through our SMS number, which is 0791 300 105. Again, you can always reach us and inquire about any information that you missed out on during the show through our SMS number 0791 300 105. Again, also, Our social media platforms are open for you as well. At DGTV Kenya on Facebook, at DGTV Kenya on our Instagram, and at DGTV Kenya on our YouTube platform. You can always do that on the comment section. Remember to subscribe as well. All right, so that will be it for today, unless you have a parting shot. But before then, I'm going to give our guests a chance to give us a sound bite for the day.
Which camera?
This one.
So before I forget, you can reach us on www.partnersforcare.org, or you can reach us through 0714-919-981 on Facebook, Partners for Care, on Instagram, and also on Pinterest. So remember, you are a candidate of disability, and always advocate for our friends.
Thank you so
It's
much.
been amazing. Thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to hosting you again. Thank you. Pass our regards to Partners for Care.
All right. That will be it for our Neuro Diaries segment today. Until next time, adios.
CK,
Yeah.
karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Kwa mara nyingine tena nimepatana ndani ya Spoti Sebuleni.
Spoti Sebuleni weekend, super weekend.
Super weekend.
Super weekend, yeah.
Lakini kumbuka last weekend tulisema ni super weekend, lakini kwa mafans wa Manchester United, Chelsea